to bring about peace in Nigeria involves flushing a few elements out. So be it, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the so-called, whether you want to call it,
you refer to innocent people as elements.
Yes. Whether it's Boko Haram, whether it's any other form of insurgents, to start with, should they arise? They are a threat to the sovereignty of the nation. And anything that's a threat to the sovereignty of the nation must be eliminated. First and foremost, there are no sentiments about it.
Okay.
That's one. Two, he has mentioned a couple of things which are borrowed now. Some things I just assumed and took for granted in the discussion before we went on. The question is, how did this come about? Let's go back again, because the only way we can get about the result is to go back into the pages of history. Now, why is this being fermented in the north? Is it poverty? Now, and if it's poverty, and we all started up in 1914, coming up together, the amalgamation, coming up as a nation. Now, by 1960, we now became a country as it is with national sovereignty. 63, we became a republic. Now, having all this put in place, money is from the federal jack, from the federal coffers, were being apportioned to various regions. Then later we had the 12 states. Later was it 36 or I don't know how many states.
We have 36
now. Well, now 19 states and 36 and all that. Monies were shared out for the development of the people there. Now, if governors within the state over the course of time, whether during the civilian dispensation, the military dispensation, never made sure that this money got to the nook and crannies of their various regions which they were meant to have governors over, they should be held to blame. Education was one, health is another, agriculture is another thing, and of course, we're talking of development of the basic system and infrastructure. So if they fail then, and this is the problem now, they should also be held accountable. They are equally to be blamed, including the same way of manner the insurgents we're looking at now. That's my own bait now. They should be held accountable, from the local government councillor to the chairman to the various state governors, everybody that's been in governance.
On that point, I quite absolutely agree with you.
So we should look at it from a global point of view, from a holistic point of view, what the problems are. Once we can identify the problem, then we can then begin to look at the solution. The issue of amnesty, to start with, what is amnesty? Of a lawyer?
Amnesty?
Forgiveness?
Forgiveness, simply. Forgiveness. What he simply says that Jesus said, was it Jesus who said, woman,
and sin no more.
And sin no more.
Now, wait, okay, that's forgiveness. Then must it come with some money again? Why give money again for amnesty?
That's the problem I have with it. What are you guys doing?
If I commit a crime, sorry, they will not give money again?
I wonder.
Now you see, this is an issue. If not, tomorrow I might go and do the same thing here. Begin to ferment trouble. And I'm not caught.
Mr. Chuksma, is there anywhere in the world where amnesty is also comes with compensation?
I've not heard. I do not know of any. If there's any, I would love to know, because I'm not aware of anywhere in the world. I know amnesty has been given in various countries, but not with monetary terms and conditions going along with it.
Okay, but do you think it's just a total breakdown of the system?
If you're saying that those
it's your attack of amnesty and the requisite monetary compensation that comes with it, an attack on the use of amnesty for the Niger Delta militants?
Now, you see, when you say amnesty, is that you say we are forgiving you. Yes. I agree, no problem, because what you did out of ignorance, or you did out of some foolish things, or whatever it is, fine, but do not give money. But if you're not saying because they have no job to do, they have nothing to do, make sure they don't go back again to it, create jobs for them, don't give them money.
Rehabilitate them.
Yes, of course, monies were voted for that, for rehabilitation.
Okay, but Mr. Wafai, looking at the lives of the innocent ones lost, how would they, after I grant you amnesty, what's the justice for those that have been wrongfully killed?
I'll come from this point. Those that have been wrongfully, now you basically, like I said when I started, there is some form of responsibility internationally for those deaths arising from the suppression of terrorism by the multi-task force. Now, for every life which was lost, the question was that loss justifiable? I'd use the word consistently here: negligence and recklessness. Who destroyed these lives? I did talk about intelligence reconnaissance, which he had talked about extensively. Now, these are military men. These are professionals. There are certain standards. Like I had said earlier too, the Counter-Terrorism Act, which was recently amended, enjoins the Attorney General to ensure that there is compliance, there is national compliance with international best practices in the suppression of terrorism anywhere in the country. Now, can it be said that the Nigerian military actually had a legal advisor? Because I believe everywhere in the world, before the United States makes any military attack, they must have been advised to it. That's why they always have an excuse. There's always a justification because they have legal advisors. Does the Nigerian army have legal advisors? Now, if they don't, then there is some form of negligence or recklessness, however it, but these people should be held responsible. These individuals, their fundamental rights have been broken, their families have been killed, they have a right to compensation. The Nigerian government, the Chadian government, and the Nigerian government
have a right. Money that should have been put into good roads for me, making the place better for me, for education for my children, have now been diverted now into fighting and combating insurgency. I have a right. So the question is that these elements you're thinking of granting amnesty to should also face trial.
They should face trial.
You're being one-sided now. You're just talking about the issues and activities of the JTF.
No, you know the reason. You know the reason why I am coming from the point of view of the JTF, because I believe.
You believe?
Yes.
Good.
It's a very, very informed belief that the Boko Harams, like we had rightly said, we don't have a problem with Boko Haram. Anyway, wait. Now I must make my comment first. Yeah. Now, we don't have a problem with Boko Haram in relation to this matter. Okay. Now, you know, when the United States criticized and when the United Nations and even Spain criticized, they have not criticized Boko Haram because Boko Haram is already a settled issue. They are criminals. They should be tried. I had said earlier that I don't agree for amnesty. Wherever they are caught, they should be tried. But who is Boko Haram? You have said these people are there. If we find them, we will try them. But we are talking about the loss of lives now. Boko Haram will be held responsible for this life. But now, remember, the law, I think I should come from the point of view of the law. Okay. Because that's why I'm here in the first place. The law is where in acts to suppress terrorists or even insurgent incursions, deaths have arisen, or international response, or there have been wrongs committed or perpetrated against a certain known people, the state where that insurgency act was carried out should be held liable. Now, Nigeria should be responsible because we have not been responsible and responsive enough to the cries of innocent people in suppressing the acts of these terrorists. So if they are alive and are lost as a result, I was going to get there, and you ought to have waited for me to get there.
It took a long time.
No, I needed to lay the foundation first. Okay. So the point now is, Nigeria has not done well because we have not suppressed the acts of terrorists. Therefore, we should be held responsible. When was the last time a terrorist attack, perhaps an Islamic terrorist attack, was carried out in the United States? Like never ever. I mean, the very recent one was an internal terrorist attack. They were caught 2 days after.
Wait, it was Islamic. Now, I'm glad you're coming my way now. The question.
Oh, you wanted me to come your way?
You're not tilting this way now because it's the responsibility of everybody, including you, whether you're talking as a lawyer or
not. Yes,
it is to ensure that the sovereignty of this nation is not in any way infringed. Let it not talk about it being broken down. Okay. Now, as far as I'm concerned, like he said, the government of the day, the presidency, including the various 36 state executives, have failed in their responsibility.
Seriously,
you see, we are still talking a different thing or song until we become totally afflicted with this problem. And I pray it doesn't go beyond what's going on now. We need to come up. The so-called suspects they have picked up over time now, what has been done to them? Nothing. Until we begin to try them, prosecute, try, and make sure certain sanctions and punishment are meted against these ones, then the people out there begin to know that of a truth, you are involved in it, this is what's going to happen to you. They do not know what's happening yet. Even I as a person know people have become, what is happening to these people? Are they killed silently, or are they kept in the holding, or in a guest house, a hotel, enjoying their life somewhere? Let's see what the government is doing in processing an action to ensure we suppress this issue of, this time no more insurgency, but terrorism.
They are doing something.
They are doing something. How do you know they are doing something?
They are paying lip service.
Okay, paying lip service. Let the people see what's going on. And we'll have a holding. If a state cannot cope with it, we just do the normal thing. The military takes over that state. But we're not going to remove the governor. No, we're going to have the military working with him to ensure the state is taking and having the kind of security we need to put in place. Curfews must be placed. No night movements. It's like policing the state. Stop and search. If you are caught carrying arms of any magnitude, you are gone. If you can be traced for funding this group, you are gone, irrespective of whose access to God.
Particularly those border states.
Now, you see, the question is, now we have to begin to move on. Even if the presidency is involved in funding, it will go. Anybody, until we're able to get to that level, then we then know as a people we are taking this very serious. And the international world will know that Nigeria is living up to its expectation. This country is almost being declared as a no-go area now.
It's a pariah state now. We've been declared. Really, it's not that it's being declared. It has been declared.
Okay, Mr. Chukwumaha, what's, over time, what do you think is the agitation? What are these terrorists, these extremists? What do they want?
Now, he has said something. We spoke about insurgents.
All right.
If we localize it, whether you're calling them the men, which we know of, the Massacre, any of them, Arewa, OPC, we know their faces, we know their leaders. Right? Not so? Okay. Beautiful. These ones, do we know anybody? Have we had dialogue with anybody? Have we met anybody face to face? The answer is no. So you can't talk about amnesty to a faceless person. So that is ruled out. So when you're not talking of terrorism, it's a question of you're fighting ghost persons. And that's why, unfortunately, women and children are going for it. Until I know who I'm fighting, I cannot distinguish between who is who. It's unfortunate.
Okay, Mr. Just 1 second, please. Mr. Wafai, why, just as he said, ghost faces. And I think there was a remark from the presidency, like, these people are faceless. And then there are other comments from left, right, center, from several quarters, like, you know them, we know them. Why do you think it's like that? And why do you think this kind of thing is happening?
Because it's political.
I thought I was supposed to talk about law. Now, why I think, I really don't know. Whether they are rumors, or whether these rumors are founded, that Boko Haram is indeed a certain face, constitutes certain faces of people, I cannot tell. We've had issues in the past. I think it was last year when even members of the House were implicated with Boko Haram relationships. They were implicated. They were being prosecuted. They were being investigated for supporting Boko Haram financially.
Investigated, not prosecuted.
Oh yes, investigated. Thank you. They were investigated. Whether or not these investigations were completed, whatever happened afterwards, we do not. Nigerians don't know. It still brings us back to the question: is the Nigerian government sincerely, like I said when I said they're actually doing something? They are paying lip service to the war against terrorism. No, but the question is the Nigerian government in quote sincerely, very, very, very much, have they shown so much sincerity in the fight against terrorism? Have they? Perhaps the government thinks that amnesty is an easy way out. Would amnesty resolve the problem?
It's a very, very short-term solution.
Yes, because the government just wants to, hey, in the interim, let's just deal with what can simply get them off our backs.
The way I see it, it's the state is becoming, it's tending towards this a state of anarchy. So I think the government is probably doing something. I believe there's even so much discomfort in the government because of left, right, center. Today bombings, tomorrow bombings, next tomorrow bombings.
But how sure are you that the grant of amnesty would make it go away? As I speak to you, there is a split group in Boko Haram. We have the Ansar. We haven't even talked about them since we sat here. As I speak to you, they equally. Is the government equally going to grant amnesty to Ansaru and a number of phantom groups that may arise from the split of Boko Haram? Because I'm very sure it will happen. Once you start, you can't stop. We have the same problem in the Niger Delta. They were granted amnesty, but militancy in the Niger Delta has not ended. So is amnesty really the question? That's why I said we are paying lip service to the resolution of this conflict without necessarily doing any meaningful thing to resolving it.
Mr. Chukwumaha, just continuing from his point, okay, how about this recent announcement from men that we are going to start attacking religious houses, Islamic religious houses, mosques, against Boko Haram?
No. The issue was not actually saying you are going to attack religious houses.
Okay.
Boko Haram now initially was assumed to be a religious sect.
Okay.
The Northern Emirates were enjoying it, believing it was so. Some claimed the jihadist movement, but now it has now become totally well known to everybody, whether you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're an atheist, or what, that it's not a religious sect.
Okay.
It hid under that cloak initially. It is purely a political agenda. And what is it actually looking for? It's making life difficult for everybody, not just the government of the day, but the people too. I don't know what they're asking for, whether they're asking for a change in governance, whether they're asking for a change in people, whether they're asking for a change of way of life, a change in attitude. What it exactly is, we do not really know. But it's not religious.
Mr. Wafai, did you think so?
Yes. Boko Haram sect, if you agree with me, they have transmutated and evolved from several. I really cannot place a hand on what. Now, at the time they started, I felt it was Western education. They said they were against Western education.
It was Western education. And they started them with bow and arrows.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're using westernized guns.
And now their fight was, okay, it's not about Western education anymore. Christians should leave.
Yeah,
that
was the second phase.
Oh, that was the second phase. And then subsequently, we had them fighting against Muslims who did not support their cause. And so I can't place a hand on what their cause. They are like Nigeria.